Yes, guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kev Stoic. Hope you're well. This is just a quick reaction video that we're going to do to Fresh and Fit's most recent After Hours episode. So, this was released last night or this morning, depending on whereabouts in the world you are. And this episode was absolutely crazy. There was a little RP gold throughout the episode. So what I'd say is, if you do get some time, do shout out, Fresh and Fit, thumbs up their video, and actually try and watch the whole thing. But we're just going to focus on sort of the last 10-15 minutes or so when it really starts to get crazy. And there's some particular points that we're going to sort of touch on and dissect. So what I'll do is just get the screen shared, just get it on our screen so we can watch it in real time and just react to it. And when you've got Mr. Akademiks in the building, it's always going to be a crazy episode. Shout out to DJ Akademiks. He's always one to give crazy content. So just for context, so the sort of discussion at this point in the video is around sort of single mums and whether a man should take a single mum seriously for dating purposes. A lot of the women on the panel were saying that a real man would have no issue stepping up and taking care of another man's kid. That's what real men do. And the men were objecting that, and basically saying, it's not in the best interest of a man to take on someone else's kid, someone else's baggage, take on a woman, a single mum who's got a kid, because you've got all the responsibility of caring for that kid, providing for that kid, raising that kid, but you haven't got the authority in terms of power to discipline that child, perhaps, and even just autonomy as a father over that kid. Everything you do, you're probably gonna have to run by your partner, the kid's mum, and then maybe even the biological father, who you may or may not have a good relationship with. So it's always quite a sticky and tense situation. So that's the sort of context of this part of the discussion. And what Myron's going to do here, he's going to stop the show, and basically he's going to put an analogy to the girls, to the women on the podcast. He's going to basically reverse it and give that same dynamic to them, but in a perspective for them to understand how a man might feel. So basically, just going to reverse it, and it's a really interesting way to do it. Actually, it's an example I haven't, or an analogy that I haven't come across before. So shout to Myron for this part, and I'm certainly going to use it in my discussions going forward when I sort of talk about these topics with people in my real life. So we'll play here, and we'll just we'll stop and start and just react to it. So we'll go from here.
Stop the show. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'm listening very closely, taking some notes. Merch. We're going to answer your thing.
That's
too.
fine. I want to hear this.
Okay. Let's switch it around. All right. Dream world time. Me and you are in a relationship. I have a daughter.
Yes.
And a son. All right. You come into my relationship. I take care of everything. You're the mom, the stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
You're responsible for cleaning the house, feeding the children, taking them to and from school, going to parent-teacher conferences, rearing them, etc. But you are not allowed to hug them, kiss them, or show any type of affection. You
But
must
hit them?
only, you can't, no, you can't discipline, we can't do anything.
Okay.
But you have to cook for them, drive them to and from practice,
You a nanny.
take care of them,
like, that's what I was about
etc.
to say.
Hold on.
So right away, when he reverses it and he puts a female lens on it, so basically you have to do all the motherly duties, sort of say motherly duties this day and age, who knows, but the traditional motherly duties in terms of nurturing the kid, raising the kid, cooking for the kid, cleaning for the kid, taking the kid to and from school, and those sort of chores. So the traditional motherly duties and responsibilities, you as a stepmom, you have to do all of those, but he's gonna say, hey, you don't get the benefit of having that affection with the kid. So you can't hug the kid, you can't kiss the kid, you can't have that motherly bond with the kid. You've got all the responsibilities, but not any of the benefit. And that's just a great way to flip it. It's exactly what you've got on the other end. So if you a stepdad, in most circumstances, he has to be responsible for raising the kid, providing for the kid, protecting the kid, putting a roof over the kid's head, but you don't have the authority of being able to discipline the kid as and how you please. And that's traditionally what men and women bring to the relationship when they're raising a child. You've got the father who's a disciplinarian, and you've got the mother who's obviously the more nurturing figure. So in essence, what you're asking that person to do is do well, basically get all of they have to they have full responsibility and no authority and no autonomy over the one aspect that they traditionally would have in a role as father or mother. So we'll play on.
Stop.
There's personal boundaries between children.
However, the mother who doesn't do any of these things can come in when she wants, hug
Come
the
in
children.
the house.
Yes, hug the children, kiss the children, and show affection to the children. But you cannot. How would that make you feel?
This is perfect.
Well, I've
Perfect.
never said that. Like, you're asking me.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
Like, okay, if
How does it feel?
how would I feel? I probably would feel like, okay, like they're just like kids I watch, or like I would still care about the kids. I don't really have to freaking
You're
hug
not
a
even
kid
a
or
wife
kiss.
at that point.
Yeah.
Stop. Everybody shut the fuck up, man. Me and her are talking. Everybody shut up.
Realistically,
So,
Myra's
yes,
hilarious.
realistically
from my
speaking,
point of view,
you have all the responsibilities
of a mother.
But you don't get to hug and consolidate with your children and show affection. The biological mom can do it only. You have to bring them to and from school, bring them to practice, do their homework with them, etc. But you can't show affection. How would that make you feel?
It would probably hurt my feelings.
That's exactly how men feel when they sit there and they cannot discipline your children.
But
The
what if-
reality is this:
Mm-mm.
men are the disciplinarians of their children. Women are the comforters of their children.
Facts.
When you have a man in your life and he has all the responsibility but zero authority, whether you're saying, but the baby daddy's involved. Yes, he's involved, but the man can't act in his natural state with his children.
But-
Men keep daughters off stripper poles and sons out of jail. That's what they're designed to do. Just like women are designed to comfort their children and let them know that the boogeyman is not real.
And just to pause it there, that's such an interesting caveat that he put in there. So, and you saw all the women's reaction when he said, not only do you have to look after the kid, raise the kid, cook and clean for the kid, take them to and from school, not only are you fulfilling those responsibilities, but also the kid's biological mother, who doesn't have to do any of that day to day, can walk into the house or just walk into the situation as and when she pleases and have that motherly bond, is able to hug, kiss, and show that affection to the kids, which you are not allowed to do. And I think that really that's the salient point for me. That point is really key. If you're asking a man to be a stepdad to your child and he's got to do all these responsibilities like raising the kid, I say probably paying to look after the kid, whatever, putting a roof over the kid's head, but he doesn't have that authority and that autonomy over the kid in terms of a disciplinary point of view, and he can't, as I say, can't have that authority over the child without at least a discussion per se. He doesn't automatically have that right, but yet his biological father, who probably isn't in the picture day to day because the kid's living with you and his mum, that biological father enjoys the benefit of being able to exercise his traditional fatherly roles, which is to be that disciplinarian. So that's the benefit that he gets, to be that authoritative figure, and you don't get that benefit. And it's completely the same on the reverse. None of them would like it. No woman would like it. If you have to be a stepmom, you have to raise a child, cook, clean for them, take them to and from school, but you can't have your motherly bond with them. You can't hug, kiss, show affection to them. That's basically what you're stripping men of. Their right to discipline and be that authoritative figure. You're stripping them of that when you say be a stepdad, provide, but you don't have the authority over the child. You can't discipline the child. So it's credit to Maro, and as I say, it's the first time I've sort of heard of it or seen it put in that way, that sort of spin to it. But I think it helps give a sort of visual aid for the ladies to be able to really grasp the men's perception and how they see it.
So you have been stripped of your motherly instinct to take care of the kids simply because of the fact that you're not biologically tied to them. That's exactly how men feel when they come in as the stepfather, whether they're aware of it or not. That's what's happening to them. They're being constrained.
Okay. You put it in good perspective.
I just feel like, bro, listen, as a stepfather, like I'm a nigga who grew up with a stepfather that I fucking hated, and over time I look at him like as my dad type shit. So I feel like you gotta give a nigga time to actually show discipline and be a fucking, like, you know what I'm saying? If your dad ain't in your fucking life and this nigga come through and when he start hitting you and shit at first, you're like, what the fuck, nigga? You ain't my fucking dad. You arguing like, bitch, you ain't my dad. Over time, he show you shit. He learned. He teach you shit. He become like a father figure to you, and you like, oh, this nigga is my dad type shit. More than my dad really was. Type shit.
And you know, Little Boo makes a great point there. So he's basically talking about what normally happens when a stepdad gets into a picture. The kid, particularly if it's a son, he's gonna object. He's gonna have that that sort of grievance with the stepdad. You know, you're not my real dad. You're not my father. Don't tell me what to do. All of that sort of clash. That's obviously going to happen. It's natural. It's normal, and that isn't necessarily the child's fault. He's completely right, and he's right in saying that it is going to take time, and potentially over time, that stepdad can prove himself to the kid, can eventually have the kid start to see him as a fatherly figure, can start to earn the position of being able to perhaps discipline the son and be that authority over the son without any issues. That son can maybe down the line start to see him that way. Now the issue is that takes investment. That time is an investment. Now you've got these ladies, these single mums who are wanting, in most cases, a particular type of guy, let's say a high earning, high value type of guy, or just whatever, anyone who's competent and successful and comfortable in themselves. Now that guy, why would he want to make that investment and say, well, I'm going to take on a single mum and down the line I might be able to be seen as a real dad to the child. He might start to respect me, look up to me, and I'll be able to assert my authority and be able to discipline him as a like a quote unquote real dad down the line. But there's no guarantees of that, and that's still work they have to put in. So why would I choose that path when I can get with a woman who hasn't got a kid, start my own legacy from scratch, and automatically have that right and have that authority and have that position from the jump? So that's the balancing act, and I don't think women always appreciate that. It's all about choices, and what is the better choice. Men are allowed to choose what is the better option for them.
A young guy out here with no kids, don't fucking date no single mom, seriously, bro.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, ladies.
We talking about our moms, nigga. This is
Hold on. And Boo was my nigga, but not to invalidate his point.
Yeah.
Everything you just said is irrelevant because she said, my baby's father is very active in his life. I'm not looking for a father. You're saying that your daddy wasn't shit. Yeah. You had other issues beyond that.
True.
She's saying, oh,
that he's in his life.
Yeah.
Oh,
so again, of course, it's very conflicted. I feel like this is so simple, and like Martin did a great job.
That's why I had to flip it.
And like
the script.
That's just what I was on. I thought everybody was on that side.
It's one of those things where like somehow they feel like being a man. I've heard women say this: being a man is being able to take care of another guy's kid. No. It's not natural.
I'm just gonna put, because I've heard that as well. I've heard that recently. Actually, I've seen videos on that. I think on TikTok, on World Star Hip Hop, all of this craziness saying that being a man, you'll be able to take care of another man's kid. No, being a man, you make a choice that you're comfortable with. It's as simple as that. Being a man, you decide if you want to take on that burden or not, and you assess, weigh up what the benefits are, what the pros are, and what the cons are for any situation. That's what a real man does. You make an informed decision. You analyze, and then you decide, is this for me? Is this not for me? You can't try and guilt trip people into doing what's best for you when it might not be in their best interest. And oftentimes, particularly with this topic, you find that women do that a lot. They try and manipulate the situation. Being a good man means that you'll take me and my kid on. No, I can be a good man and not want to be with you and your kid. That doesn't make me a bad man. It just makes me a man that's making a choice, an informed choice.
Natural is just we could just look. Y'all watch like the Animal Planet, right? Like, if they ain't get that monkey or whatever pregnant, they're not staying around. They're dipping. They're going on to again, people are following DNA and following just biology, trying to extend their legacy in certain type of ways. Why the fuck are we gonna say the definition of manhood got to be like, you got to take care of some kid you didn't rear? And then again, when you think about the downsides that come with, nobody wants to fucking. If you're gonna live in my house, I can't like discipline you. I gotta like play by the rules your mom is making. Yo,
Yep.
Your baby daddy, he don't got to play by the rules. Of course, you might say, hey, we shouldn't hit Johnny. If your baby daddy feel like Johnny needs an ass whipping, he's taking off that shit. Okay?
I mean, but like,
of course, your baby, but you're
he's only 2 years old.
okay.
So we'll touch on this, then we'll move on slightly. But Ack's completely right in this point. So it's exactly what he's saying. He's saying that, even if you have an agreement as a stepdad with your, with your missus and, the step kid, your agreement might be that you don't discipline him or don't put hands on him or spank him or whatever, or you might have an agreement that you do. The point is that you don't have that autonomy to make that decision off the bat as a man. Whereas the biological father, even if the agreement between all parties was, let's say, this kid doesn't get spanked, biological father has that authority and autonomy to just turn up, raise his kid as he wants when he's obviously looking after him in his presence, and discipline him how he wants when he's in his presence. So he has that authority automatically, that right automatically, no matter what the missus says, no matter what what the stepmom, or not stepmom, what the mum says. So I think that is that point isn't stressed enough. That point really isn't stressed enough. But what we'll do is we'll move on a little bit, because the ending of this stream was absolutely crazy. And we're just going to see one of the guests, one of the women, completely lose her mind. But there's a lot of good talking points that we can touch on this. I'll just fast forward a little bit.
I love kids. I love kids.
So, all right, we fast forward a little bit. So just for context, for background, so
He's gonna make the school.
this lady next to Fresh in white, so she's a single mum. She's one of 3 single mums on the panel. Now, initially, she didn't mention it. It's only just come out literally in this minute that she's got a kid at home. She wants to get home to basically get the kid ready for bed and school, whatever she said. Now, the reason why I could sort of poking fun at her is because throughout the stream, she was saying that she's a child of God and she's a woman of God and she's holier than thou and all of this. She was referencing Jesus a lot. But they pulled up her Instagram and she's clearly for the streets. Everything that she's posted online was just reckless. She's just skin out everywhere. She's just about it, clearly. And then obviously now it turns out she's also a single mum. So he's going to say, or he might have said already at this point, something along the lines of, so you had a child out of wedlock, all of that Jesus talk, and you had a child out of wedlock. And that completely triggers her and she goes absolutely ballistic. So we'll play on and then we'll react to some of the interesting bits that happen.
Absolutely.
If you trying to stay, we can rock. I win.
Hey, it's whatever.
You the one that said you had to dip.
Baby, you said something about me having a baby out of wedlock. I said something about you sitting and having gluten and obesity. So now we on the same page.
Shit. No, I like this.
So we're on the same page. Oh, did you meet your match tonight?
Gluttony.
No.
Gluttony.
Hey, hold on.
Bitch right here.
Yeah. Hold on. This way, y'all start zooming on me. Hold on. This is people more come out.
Yeah. Wait till look on. Follow me. I'm really not mean, y'all.
Hold on. Cut that out. All right. No, that's amazing. So here's the big difference. And I'm glad you're here now. You know what I mean?
What's the big difference?
Well, I didn't lead with saying that I'm over here. I'm a child of God and following the Lord.
I didn't lead with that either. You said, "How would I want a man to approach me?"
You said you was talking about you the child of God.
I want a man that
we
fears
showed
God.
your Instagram. You on the whole shit.
Fears God.
Hey,
Baby, and you on that shit.
guys,
What is you talking
one mic
about?
at a time, please. Thank you.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Yeah, let's do it.
I like.
Yeah.
Do you say what?
I'm in.
No. So as I
You
said,
asked
hold
me
on.
what kind of man do I like and how should he approach me? I said definitely not online. I said if you're in person, you come to me directly, you speak to me clearly, you don't yell from across the room.
The first
But
time I
most
heard being a child of
importantly-
God, I heard about you.
See, you always cutting the women off, but you never let us finish. But you want us to let you finish. And I don't like the way you told all these ladies to shut the fuck up earlier. That was rude as fuck.
Wait, hold on. So right now, what we're seeing in real time, we're seeing a Christian get possessed by a devil, because that was crazy. How on earth she just switched like that to Maron out of nowhere? So clearly, like 5-10 minutes ago, when Maron stopped the show to basically to have his discussion with the lady next to Ak, obviously he was abrupt in stopping the show. He always is. But this lady, she's been sitting on that. It's been in her brain. She's been sort of dwelling on that. It's been eating up inside of her. And out of nowhere, she's taking this moment to flip out at Myron as well as Act. So it's funny how she's letting that sit on her brain. It would have made more sense if at the time she said, "Oh, Myron, I don't appreciate the way you said that," but no, she's sort of sitting on that. 10 minutes later, her emotions. Hey, keep your emotions in check, man. You gotta react. Respond, don't react. Crazy.
Oh
Check
shit.
yourself on that
Oh,
shit.
Hey.
Now,
Hold on.
Back
I
to
don't
you.
know who you're. It's not back to
What
anything.
happened?
I don't know who you're
What
talking
happened?
about.
That's so
You
I don't know who
elevated.
you're
Y'all shut the
quickly.
fuck up. And
But-
everybody shut the fuck up too.
Because
Y'all didn't even move. Like,
Hold on. Okay.
like nigga, y'all was scared or
All right,
something. Like
here's the
nigga, I
thing.
started laughing.
No, she's
Here's the
shaming
thing.
the other girls.
You don't
No.
talk like that.
People
You
invent.
just
They're just
say,
more feminine
everybody
than
be
you, that's
quiet.
all.
He was talking to
Hey, be
y'all.
quiet. And then every time you say be quiet, we're all quiet.
How many times have you interjected
Nobody
during the
has
show?
had to cuss at nobody and say,
How many times have you
"Fuck
interjected?
shut the fuck up."
How many times have you
Nobody
interjected?
said that
Kenny
to
beat her
nobody.
ass.
Yo, Shorty,
I'm
is there a
asking you a
show?
question. I'm asking you a
Is there a
question.
show? Is there a show?
I'm sorry.
Is there a show?
It's our
What
show.
the fuck are you talking
And I'm
about?
a guest.
Okay, so you need
I'm
to
a
act
guest.
like a guest.
I'm a guest, but in Fresh Talk,
So now
it's
you're
Fresh
like,
show.
"Am I
Yo,
right?"
listen. Here's the
Whitney.
thing.
live.
We're running the
I
show.
know.
Hey, look, I'm talking to you. We're running the show, trying to maintain a certain level of quality.
So you can
Fresh. Can you let me
insult
finish? Can
me
you let
and
me finish?
embarrass me, but I can't insult you and embarrass you back.
No one's insulted
It's
or
not a
embarrassed
level
you
playing field.
because you've interjected several times. I've counted. It's about
And
8.
You interject
You've
everybody.
interjected 8 times.
Play the shit
I
back.
interject-
Y'all interject
hold
all
on.
the time.
Here's the
I get
difference.
it,
It's a
though.
show.
It's your show. I get it.
You hurt the quality of the
I
show
get
when you
that.
interject.
So
I interject to move it along. You interject to hurt the quality of the
You
show
think your
and interrupt.
interjections are moving it along?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am moving it along. Or I stop it to move it, or to if someone has a
Okay.
question, whatever. Which I've done for you plenty of times, actually.
You stop it
But
to just
I will tell you
be a
this.
redundant ass
You're-
topic
you're-
about
you're a
cheating
guest on a
niggas
platform.
and
You're a guest on a platform.
I am.
You've been extremely rude, and you
Extremely
do not
rude
come.
since when the last
it's-
10 minutes
it's a-
since he want to
it's
say I had a
our-
child out of fornication because I want to get home from my baby
Jeez, her
and
voice
to
is
get my
something
baby
else.
at
Oh,
a
man.
decent
You can go home
hour.
and change the
And we said
diaper.
you can
It's
go.
cool.
No,
And
he
we
didn't
said
say
you
my
can go.
diapers. Go ahead, drink you some more calories.
Okay, so no. We're gonna address this. Hold on.
Myron,
This is not-
don't bring
Why?
Guys, let Mara finish.
Why are you telling me who
Hold
gotta
on.
go?
No one said
Hold on.
that. You
Wait,
said
hold
you
on.
had to go.
Wait, hold on. Wait.
So now it's just gonna get noisy. So I'll just give you a heads up. We might move it along a little bit. But what you're seeing here, basically now she's starting to, I won't say pick on, but she for some reason this debate is now it's going on between her and the girl sort of across from her. So for some reason she was in battle with Ak, and somehow it's turned to her and this little petite girl across the table from her. And the girl's simply saying to her, you said you wanted to go home, you can go home, no one's stopping you. And obviously now she's getting in her masculine in her masculine bag.
Yo, shorty.
You heard the whole conversation. So you heard me say, hey, you guys, I didn't think it was going to go this way. I kind of
Yo,
was
shorty.
that it's an hour.
Yo, shorty.
And now,
Mom,
girl, you know what? Yeah, that would break my skin.
Whoa, chill. It's not. Why did it go so bad? Why did it go so bad?
You don't know me. My nigga, you don't know me.
Let it rock.
Why did it go south so quickly?
Bitch, what the fuck? I had 2 of these motherfucking little shots. I'm not even
But you started attacking Myron out of nowhere.
Insecure ass niggas.
Yo, shorty.
Well, this is
Yo, shorty.
This is little dumbass
Chill.
bitches
Shorty.
that don't even mention
Chill.
God.
Why you so
Like,
mad?
Hey,
I'ma
did
keep it
I tell
100
you? Did I tell you
Why
before?
you so-
Keep it
why
going
you
to
so-
you.
Yo, shorty, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I don't know what smoke you got with anybody else on here.
I don't want no smoke. I love all
Yo,
y'all.
shorty, listen, I love content, so like I don't care what you say about
That's
me.
what
I'm
I'm
with it.
saying. This is what
Hold
I'm
on.
saying. You gonna get views, my
Hold
boy.
on. It's not my show. But anyway,
You gonna get
hold on.
views, my
But
boy.
shorty, what I'll tell you is this. Like,
What?
if I was offended by anything you said, yo, I get the brakes beat off you.
Byron
If
shaking his head like
I get a bitch beat the brakes off you here. Stop playing with me.
Please.
Oh, please do. Please do.
I'm gonna stop it here because this is one thing I don't agree with in terms of Axe sort of going back and forth with her and talking about I get girls to beat the brakes off you and all of this. Listen, that might be true, it might not be true, whatever. I'm of the opinion that as a man, you just don't argue with women, and I'm not talking about having a discussion or having a debate. That's one thing. That's normal. But what you're seeing here is when you're letting her get you out of your, maybe not even out of your emotions, but you're raising your voice, you're getting your fingers out, your hands out. It just doesn't. There's no need to ever let someone get you out your frame in that way. or there's no need to let a woman ever get you out your frame in that way. I'm like Chris Rock. Chris Rock said a joke. You don't argue with women. We're logic, they're emotion. There's just no, if we're not discussing or debating or conversing, I'm not gonna be arguing, squaring up with any woman. It's just not worth anyone's time in my view. But we'll play on.
Yo, that's not holy. Stop playing. That's not holy. That's not holy.
Hey, listen, in the name of God, I'm a big.
That's not holy. That's not holy now.
In the name of God.
Yo, Donda.
This is why they request people to watch the show before coming on here. This is why.
Yo,
What are you doing, Whitney? Oh my God.
The embarrassment.
You showing scallywag activities right now.
I don't care.
Let the Holy
You showing
Ghost save
scallywag
her.
activities.
Let's chill, let's breathe.
Why did he try
It
you?
was just
You
not that
they
deep.
got a fornication. He
Yo,
thought that was
nigga, you did. Hold on.
So it's gonna go left.
Wait, so why the fuck is you mad? Wait, what? Bro, look at you. You standing up angry, nigga. Sit the fuck down.
Hold on.
Wait, why you mad at her? Why you mad at her? Why you mad at her? She ain't say shit.
What did I do?
Shorty. I was trying to dismiss you because you're a broke ass bitch who ain't get a babysitter who talking about you gotta go home to your kid. Nigga, go home to your little nigga. Go handle your business. Go handle your business.
So here it goes absolute left. She throws a cup, throws a drink. Everyone scatters. And at this point, Myron's going to try and get her out. We're going to fast forward a little bit because it goes a bit more left towards the end when he's trying to score her out the door. So we'll play on.
Yo, Shorty, you gotta go. Go handle your business. You heard what I said. Go handle your business.
You gotta go.
Go handle your business. Go handle your business. Go handle your business. Go handle your business.
Yo, this ain't Christ-like. This ain't Christ-like. This ain't Christ-like.
Yo, that voice, sorry, I'm just getting that voice is crazy. Imagine doing a hard shift at work, working a 9 to 5 or whatever your business, whatever job you're doing, and you come home to that voice. So I drive home and sit in the car for another 2 hours before I stepped in. Crazy.
Yo, Shorty, you had I've been exposed to on that. Go handle your business.
So I'll fast forward towards the end because we're more or less there. There is a part in there where she does hit Myra in a slight. It is on cam on one of the sort of side cams. So we'll fast forward a little bit just towards the end because that's where the sort of the main lesson is.
Yo, Chad, all right. Yo, Chad, I tried to tell you, y'all was shitting on.
And what I'll say first is, so she put her hands on Myra, and Myron's obviously a man. He's bigger than her, he's taller than her. And this is, I say this to every woman that I care about. So any woman that I deal with, any woman in my family, I say, you can only control your actions. You cannot control how someone reacts. So on that note, don't ever out of your own willingness go and put your hand on any man, because that just opens a whole can of worms and a whole catalogue of errors, and it's just a whole domino effect because of your actions. So I can show restraint personally if a woman was to put hands on me. I can personally control my emotions and say, I'm not gonna hit you back, whatever. Not every man can do that, and not every man should do that, because at the end of the day, you can only control your actions as a woman. So if you as a woman go and put your hands on a man, and it might just be a slap, for instance, and he turns around and decides he's gonna punch your face in, and you fall over, smack your head on a concrete slab, and then you're dead, or in hospital, or whatever. Your action caused his reaction. Not saying that it's proportionate, but you acted a way and he reacted in a way. And now the domino effect of that means that me as a man who cares for you, no matter whether you're right or wrong, because a man has put his hands on you, I'm going to go and have to deal with him. So that then results in potentially you in hospital or worse, me having to deal with him, so he in hospital, probably worse, and then me most likely in jail. So I always say to any woman that I care about, I say, if you respect me, then you have to think about that when you're in these heated situations. Don't go around out of your own willingness putting your hands on men, because you can't control how they're going to react, and that is going to open a whole catalog of errors. It's just going to be a whole domino effect, and I'm going to have to do things that I probably don't want to do that could have maybe been avoided. But the point is, your actions are your actions. Someone else's reaction is their reaction. It isn't always proportionate. So just control yourself. Keep your hands to yourself.
Y'all was shitting on me. That wasn't Christ-like, bro.
Yo, that was not walking in Christ.
Donda, bro. Donda.
So right here, what's happening is Myron's trying to escort her out the door, and at some point it looks as if, or sounds as if, she's going to try and get something from her bag. So it looks as if she's got a strap in her bag or a blicky in her bag or something. And then Myron's going to try and basically get everyone to one side of the room. And to me, from my perception, it sounds as if, or it looks as if he's doing it obviously for their safety. So if she's in a doorway and she's got a strap, or she's outside the front door and she's got a strap, there can be, if you're away from the doorway, so by the wall, essentially you're outside that line of fire. That's how I'm sort of perceiving the situation. So so we'll play on and we'll sort of get to that part.
Like the video.
Like the video, we going viral.
It's really down, but no. Single mothers, we don't do that.
I'm gonna just say, like, I want to see live. Nigga, watch out my way.
Real women,
nigga, we in Florida.
do not do that.
Yes, sir.
Like,
I don't know what
Blicky,
shorty was
choose
reaching
me.
for in her bag with a Sparks or dumbass in hand and got a pack off her. Fuck that.
Yeah, she wild. She could have got dealt. She could have got dealt with for real, but
Nigga,
she could have got dealt with.
I don't know why y'all.
But why she chose?
Nah, because bro, niggas act, bro. You got shit to lose, bro. Chill out, bro. Yeah, but still, nigga, I only want to see you in the situation like that, bro. I won't do it. Let me handle some like that, bro.
Once they started grab that mic a certain way, I'm like, you better put that shit back down because I swear to God, I'll get up real fast. I just don't know why shit. I'm itching. I'll help somebody right now.
Okay.
Move to the left. I said move to the left. Yo, nigga, I said move to the left. Now.
So here Myron's getting everyone to the left,
Stupid. What the fuck you doing? Move to the left.
getting them outside
Everybody get to the fucking
the
left.
sort of line of fire, the
If
doorway.
bullets come down
If you
this
like.
way, I ain't getting nobody fucking hurt.
I'm gonna destroy that hoe. She shoot me.
So we'll end it there because that's basically where the stream ends. So Myron tries to get them all to one side, as I say, away from the door. I remember watching this in actual real time. The chat was going crazy because no one knew. The stream just ended abruptly, and everyone was saying what was going on. I hope everyone's all right, or what have you. So no one knew, how it turned out. Now, fortunately, nothing sort of serious came of it. I'm not sure if she actually had the blicky or not. It sounds like she probably did, but nothing came of it anyway. Everyone's safe and sound. But if there's one message that I want to get from this video, if there's one thing that I want people to take away, men in particular, who you decide to have a kid with is the most important decision of your life. I'm going to say that again. Who you decide to have a kid with is the most important decision of your life. Now you imagine that lady's baby dad who's stuck with her for at least 18 years. He has to deal with that for at least 18 years. He has to deal with that that annoying voice. He has to deal with her reckless behavior. He has to deal with the fact that she's got no decorum, no manners. He has to deal with the fact that she embarrasses herself online, posting naked pictures or whatever, half naked pictures, all of that. He has to deal with the fact that at any moment she could put him in danger and possibly the kid in danger by putting hands on people you don't know. He has to deal with that for at least 18 years, all because of 5, 10, 15 minutes of pleasure. And you couldn't be responsible enough. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. And I know it's her being like that isn't because she's a single mum. It's nothing, the single mums obviously that aren't going to be acting like that. The single mums on a podcast that weren't acting like that. But you've got single mums that could turn out like that. You've got women in general that could turn out like that. So if as a man I'm weighing out my options, and at the end of the day, any woman can turn out to be crazy and be the way she is. Would I at least want it to be, or would I at least want to be with someone who hasn't got any sort of previous baggage, any history with another man and their seed that they're raising, that adds to the potential risk that a relationship comes with anyways, because any relationship is a risk for men in particular, because we have more to lose. So if we have more to lose, what we want to do when we get into a relationship, if we get into a relationship, we want to minimize that risk potentially. We want to minimize our liabilities. Now, the fact that a woman can turn, the way she's turned out, that's a liability. It's a risk. Any woman can become like that. That's something you maybe can't foresee, maybe you can foresee. Another liability, whether women like it or not, is having a kid. If you've got a kid prior to me, that's a liability. It's a risk. It's another flag, another red flag that I have to consider. And I'm not saying that anyone's right or wrong for considering it or not, whether they get with a single mum or not. But the point is that every man has the right to weigh up their options and to make the choice. They're not a good man if they get with you and raise someone else's kid, and they're not a bad man if they decide not to, because they want to, create their own legacy elsewhere and don't want to be responsible and not have the authority over someone else's child. But if there's one thing I'd like to stress is men, guys, boys, males, gentlemen, you have to choose wisely. The person that you have a kid with is the most important decision of your life. You have to choose wisely, because that's her, the way she's acting, what she's done, that whole podcast, how she's ended it. That's her in front of strangers and 10,000 people on a live stream. Can you imagine what she's like at home when she's comfortable with her baby dad? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But we'll leave it there, guys, for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, please support, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try and put out daily content if I can. Shout out to Fresh and Fit. As I say, I support their channel. I watch their videos. I know a lot of people often criticize them and whether they're congruent to their message, do they practice what they preach? Listen, I don't idolize anyone on YouTube. Everyone on YouTube is just, their characters to me, myself included. So I separate the message from the messenger, whether they practice what they preach or not. What they preach, for the most part, is correct, is objective, and I agree with. So, on that front, their message, I align with it for the most part. And so with that being said, as I say, I don't idolize anyone on YouTube. I'm no one's fanboy. So whether they're congruent or not, I'm separating that from the actual message. I separate the message from the messenger. And I think that audiences, as a responsible audience, as a responsible adult, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to take the meat and spit out the bones. And I think that as an audience, we have to do better in doing that. Don't idolize these YouTube characters so much. If they're putting out a message that you agree with, that's fair, that's rational, that's truthful, take the message. Don't put so much power in them as a character that whether they actually live that in their in real life or not affects you as a person, and somehow you take offense to that. Yeah, for me that's not the right way to go about it. But shout out to Fresh and Fit, go support their content. As I say, if you get the chance, watch the full stream. It was quite an interesting stream. Anything with Akademiks is always crazy anyways. So shout out to them. But that's it from me, Kev Stoic. Peace.